Jon Stewart eviscerates Prince Harry's Invictus Games speech, a stunning takedown on The Daily Show. Prince Harry took the stage at the 2025 Invictus Games, an event meant to honor wounded veterans and their resilience. Instead, his speech left the audience in stunned silence, but not for the right reasons. Hours later, Jon Stewart dissected the moment on The Daily Show in a blistering critique that had his audience in laughter, disbelief, and ultimately disappointment. The speech, which should have been a powerful tribute to the veterans, was instead filled with empty platitudes and self-centered reflections. Stewart wasted no time in pointing this out, mocking Harry's vague statements and lack of coherence. "Let's break this down," Stewart said, pulling up a clip from the speech. Here we have Prince Harry, who, by the way, founded the Invictus Games, standing up there, talking about himself for most of the time, while these incredible men and women who actually sacrifice for their country sit in the audience, wondering why they even showed up. The crowd erupted in laughter as Stewart mimicked Harry's delivery, exaggerating his dramatic pauses and wide-eyed expressions. He's got that whole, "this is really important, guys listen to me," face down. You'd think he was announcing world peace. But no, he's basically just reminding us that he's Prince Harry. But it wasn't just a delivery that Stewart targeted. It was a substance, or rather, the lack of it. Courage is about believing in yourself, in your journey, in your strength. Stewart quoted from the speech, shaking his head. Wow, that's deep. I think I read that in a fortune cookie once. A self-promotional tour disguised as a speech? Stewart then took aim at the speech's self-referential nature. Rather than focusing on the struggles and triumphs of the veterans, Harry appeared to use the moment as a personal redemption tour, an attempt to rebrand himself as a misunderstood hero. "We get it, Harry," Stewart said, imitating the prince's accent. "I've been through a lot, guys. I was born into a palace. It was so hard for me. Meanwhile, these vets have lost limbs, suffered PTSD, and rebuilt their lives. But sure, let's make this about you." The comparison was brutal, but it hit home. While past Invictus Games speeches had been passionate, heartfelt, and focused on honoring veterans, Harry's words felt detached, rehearsed, and, worst of all, hollow. Comparisons to leaders who actually inspire. Stewart didn't stop there. He played clips of past speeches from world leaders and veterans, people who had spoken at the Invictus Games in previous years. Side by side, the difference was jarring. "You hear these veterans speaking?" Stewart asked as a clip played of a wounded soldier delivering a moving speech about resilience. "You feel that? That's authenticity. That's passion. Now, let's go back to Harry. Cue the silence." The contrast was deafening. Stewart wasn't the only one to notice. Veterans in attendance reportedly found the speech uninspiring. Some even whispered among themselves as Harry spoke, visibly disappointed that the focus seemed to be more on him than on the warriors in the room. Audience reactions, disappointment, and disbelief. The backlash wasn't just in the studio. Social media exploded with criticism, with many calling it one of the most uninspiring speeches in Invictus Games history. Prince Harry just gave a TED talk about himself instead of honoring the vets. What a joke. #Invictus Games, #embarrassing, one user tweeted. Another posted, "You know it's bad when Jon Stewart can take your speech and turn it into a comedy sketch. Harry needs a new speechwriter." Or reality check. #Invictus 2025". One particularly scathing comment read, "Harry spent years preaching about service and sacrifice, then gets up there and makes it all about himself. The veterans deserve better." The mockery continues. As the segment on The Daily Show went on, Stewart leaned even further into the absurdity. He mimicked Harry's exaggerated expressions, his tendency to stretch out words for dramatic effect, and even the awkward way he seemed to pause as if expecting applause after every sentence. "It's like he's starring in a one-man Shakespearean tragedy," Stewart joked. "To be, or not to be, respected by my family. That is the question." The audience roared with laughter, but beneath the humor was a deeper truth. one that many had been unwilling to say outright. Prince Harry, once beloved for his dedication to veterans in his role in founding the Invictus Games, had lost the very essence of what made the event special. The bigger issue, a disconnect from reality. Stewart closed the segment with a sobering thought. At the end of the day, this wasn't about making fun of Harry, he said. This was about calling out something bigger, someone who has lost touch with the people he claims to champion. He pointed out how Harry's speeches used to be raw, real, and impactful. But something had changed. This is what happens when you surround yourself with yes men, Stewart continued. Nobody's there to tell you, hey, maybe don't make this about you. And before you know it, you're on stage giving a speech that sounds like a therapy session instead of an inspirational moment. The final punch came as Stewart turned to the camera. Prince Harry, he said, if you're watching, next time less you more them. You owe it to them. And maybe, just maybe, the applause will be real. The audience cheered and the segment ended, leaving Prince Harry's speech not just criticized, but utterly dismantled. The question remains, will he listen?